I'm now joined by Jean-Francois Laforge, BrandZ Director for Michelin. Michelin is one of the most valuable brands in France, with a brand value of over $6 billion, placing in the overall top 15 of BrandZ's most valuable French brands. Jean-Francois, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Martin. Nice to see you again.
As you know, this year sees the 20th edition of Kantar BrandZ's Most Valuable Global Brands, which first launched way back in 2006. Clearly, the world and the marketing industry have changed a huge amount in that time, and for many reasons. As someone who's been involved in marketing over that period, I'd love to ask you about what you've learned so far and how you think the industry will continue to develop. Let's start with some questions about your own career journey to date. Please, could you briefly describe your own career path over the last 20 years, which led to your current position?
Oh, just under 20 years ago, I left the agency world to join Michelin. I was initially in charge of commercial communication for car tires worldwide. Today, I'm in charge of the group brands, B2C and B2B commercial communication, media and social media.
And what would you say is the most significant lesson you've learned so far in your career around building great brands?
I will remember two things. Developing a brand is above all about making a difference that has value and never reason in a given sector of activity. The brand of consumers is not structured in sector of activity.
And what do you think have been the biggest shifts over the last 2 decades in both consumer needs and the ways that brands engage those consumers?
When I started working in an agency, I saw the reduction of promotional campaigns. The marketing obsession then consisted of having a consumer database and maintaining a long-term personal relationship. I work on the construction of the BMW France First database and managed the Denon Group's relation program, which targeted over 2 million French households. Today, outside the consumer goods sector, it's outdated. Consumers have volatile behavior, and it seems more effective to fit their perception of the brand and catch them in the purchasing phase where they are. And today, many are on social networks. In China, consumers are even discovering brands on social networks.
And clearly media channels play a crucial role in marketing. What are your thoughts on how media channels have evolved and how have digital and programmatic impacted brand building?
The great revolution is certainly the telephone and social networks. While television is still of undeniable interest in many countries, social networks are also key for reaching certain generations and countries such as China.
And what about the role of insights? How would you say that's changed over this period?
I say that insights have always been at the root of any effective approach to marketing and communications. Today, however, we need to use more intensively as consumer habits evolve more rapidly. What's more, consumers are incorporating more factors into their decision: ecological, social, political. The example of Tesla, its incredible stock market valuation and subsequent fall in share price and consumer disaffection clearly illustrates that today's consumers don't just buy products.
And what about Michelin as a brand? Over the last 2 decades, what do you consider to be the key points in the brand's journey, and where do you see the current challenges and opportunities?
Yeah, when I arrived at Michelin, there was no brand management to speak of, except in terms of identity. The brand was seen as a consequence of product quality. Today, even the Michelin research and innovation teams are convinced of the importance of the brand. More than ever, the challenge is to remain visible and, of course, to nurture all dimensions: meaningfulness, differentiation, and sciency.
And thinking about marketing content, are there any particularly successful campaigns that stand out to you in the recent past?
The current campaign is a real success. It has largely contributed to the growth of all our brand indicators. We have increased the perception of Michelin beyond the car tire and developed the perception of innovation. It has been a tough road, because it's precisely through our new activities, I mean non-tire activities, that we have chosen to illustrate Michelin capacity for innovation.
And in the current era of rapid technological and cultural change, how do you ensure that the Michelin brand stays relevant to consumers?
While consumers no longer really expect tire innovation, we are committed to showing that Michelin develops solutions and experiences on the road and beyond that change people's lives. Not just tire, which provide the best possible safety, but also cells that reduce cargo ship fuel consumption, non-toxic adhesive, and a lot of things like that.
And thinking about the future next, we know that consumer behaviour is always evolving, but what current trends do you see that you feel we should be paying the most attention to in the marketing community? What do you think the implications are for marketing within your specific sector and for the industry more generally?
As for the car tire, we mentioned two evolutions. On a car, the point of interest of consumers are no longer mechanical parts, but what is digital. What's more, with long-term leasing formulas, consumers are less and less involved in the maintenance of their vehicles. It's important to try to build an emotional bond to move the Michelin brand up the Maslow pyramid.
And finally, it's hard to have this kind of conversation these days without talking about AI. And clearly AI is being adopted at an ever increasing pace seemingly across the industry. What do you think the implications are for the marketing industry?
In the development of brands, communication is intended to make difference visible. There is a real challenge to be met in the use of AI if we are aware that this technology, by definition, generates standardization in form and potentially in substance.
Well, Jean-Francois, we've learned so much about the Michelin brand today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.